What's the lamest way that you injured yourself badly? I broke my arm just riding my bike on flat ground. I saw a shiny rock and turned my head to look at it and fell over. I was riding full speed down a hill once and a bee hit my forehead. Knocked me ass over teacups. Wrecked the bike. Link Linerson. I'm upvoting you just because you used the phrase, ass over teacups. I don't think I've ever heard anyone but my husband use that phrase until now. I broke my nose while opening the fridge. I was sleepy and stood too close. That's when I stopped the habit of night snacking. Gave myself a serious concussion when I didn't clear the top freezer and hit the very top of my head taking something out of the fridge. I couldn't drive for 2 mo and had auditory hallucinations for about 2 years. It was such a ridiculous accident. Threw my back out taking a shit. Might be time to consider adding a little fiber to the diet. I should have stated it was more from moving, tweaking a certain when I reached for the toilet paper. But boy did it hurt lol. Yeah, my husband slipped a disc doing practically the same thing, tears of joy. He was reaching for the button to flush and it was on top of the toilet causing him to tweak his back. My brother slipped while peeing when he was little. His pee-pee skin got cut in half. So he had an unexpected circumcision. They actually did a circumcision because apparently he would need it anyways. I thought the glowing sand under the disposable barbecue would be cool to touch. It was not cool in the slightest. My stepfather dumped the ash from the grill in the trash. Ended up setting the plastic garbage can on fire. Dropped a chair on my face. Still got the scar 20 years later. Why were you carrying a chair? I was laying on the floor holding a fold-up chair over me. It slipped and landed on my face. Just above my eye. I should add. I was about 9 or 10 at the time. Probably old enough to know better though. This sounds exactly like something a 9-year-old would do. And exactly like the result I would expect. Was trying to drive a nail vertically into a pencil. Ended up driving it into my hand instead. That exact thing happened to me but with a blow dart. I'm in school for X-ray tech. And exams like yours are my favorite to work on. I feel for my patients. But these injuries are just fascinating. I stepped off a curb coming out of a movie theater and rolled my ankle. I ended up fracturing a bone in my foot that required surgery. I was on crutches for about 6 months. I was walking down a set of stairs at the airport and missed the bottom step. Hurt like F. But I was on my way to Italy for 2 weeks, so bought a pair of compression stockings and squeezed my very swollen foot into both of them for the flight. Hobbled stubbornly around in the beautiful cities of Italy, Florence, Venice, Verona, Pisa, for 2 weeks. No crutches. Just a support bandage in my sandals. On what turned out was a fractured heel bone. Missed a curb and stepped funny and I ignored the pain thinking I just pulled a muscle. Finally went to the doctor 2 months later and apparently I fractured my spine and tore my hip labrum. Not me but one of my teachers in high school tripped on his sword and stabbed his leg. Had to go to the ER. Why did he have a sword? We did a Civil War reenactment every year where the school would be divided between North and South and battle each other. I fainted and shattered my foot. By just getting out of bed. Seriously. Got up and went to the bathroom. Felt that, wah wah wah, feeling. Grabbed a bottle of water then crumpled. Unconscious. In front of my fridge in my own apartment. I'd just moved in. Didn't even have furniture and had been sleeping on a bedroll till I could pick up my stuff. I broke 3 metatarsals clean through. 2 chip fractures. Resulted in 2 plates and 12 screws. Didn't walk for almost 6 months. 1 semi-loud sneeze. Popped a vessel in my nose. Had to go to the hospital because it bled like a faucet. This is why it's so important to always sneeze full volume. Try and bottle any of it up. And it'll find another way out. Stepping from one level surface to another while gardening. Rolled my ankle so hard that horrible sensation of wrongness alone almost made me throw up. Had to crawl into the house. Whole foot and calf turned purple and I was on crutches, no driving for months. ETA. I have so many limping brethren who share my deep disappointment in the fundamental design flaws of ankles. Love to you all. Big feels to everyone who has, unhappily, joined this club. I refused to take off a bandaid when I was around 6 years old. It got infected and they almost had to amputate my leg. Legs don't grow on trees. Avast. Matey. If ye be a sailin' o' the 7 seas upon a peg leg. Happen they do. I tried to pee off the side of a hot tub because I was jealous that my brother and his friends could do it. I'm female. I slipped and cracked open my chin on concrete. Were you 5 or 25 when this happened? Because one is funnier than the other. I'd beat 25. Coming from a lactose-intolerant person, eating copious amounts of dairy to the point where I shit my organs out then pass out on the bathroom floor. Then subsequently wake up with a small piece of my forehead missing. By climbing a tree and just standing there and somehow slip and break my legs. I'm sorry, but the mental image of some guy standing in a tree, completely still, suddenly slipping on nothing and breaking his legs is just hilarious to me. Well, you're right. I've dislocated my shoulder multiple times high-fiving, and twice getting out of bed. Is it true that once you dislocate it, it's easier to dislocate again? Seems like everybody dislocated it more than once. Very much so. Everything keeps getting stretched out each time. And there can even be bone loss, damage from friction, grinding. Like in my case. I've thrown it out 15 times and had 3 surgeries. I have a giant scar on my ankle from shaving my legs drunk. I may or may not have tried to shave my pubes drunk and may or may not have injured my crotch. I can neither confirm or deny I wasn't drunk. Not me, but a friend got drunk and punched a brick wall full force to prove how tough he was. The resulting damage to his hand left him permanently unable to fully close it. At the time he was very drunk and preaching about how harmful weed is because it destroys your body. My dad told me a similar story. They'd been drinking. Their sober ride is trying to drive them home. He sticks his hand out the window to punch a mailbox. Couldn't do sports anymore after all the extensive surgeries they had to do on his hand. It's wild how quickly your life can change. I know, right? You never expect it coming from the mundane things you do every day. Like punching mailboxes bare-handed from a moving vehicle. Even USPS California stops most of the time. And they're professionals. When I was little, I lived with my mom in a ranch house. And the whole house had this long and narrow hallway that ran through it. I thought it would be funny to run straight at my mom and parkour off the wall to pass her in the hallway at a high speed. In reality, my foot slipped off the wall. I tripped over her foot and went straight down into my left hand as I caught my fall awkwardly. Broke my wrist in 2 places and broke 3 fingers. Lol. Parkour is where you go from point A to point B as creative as possible, while point A is delusion and point B is the hospital. I got a paper cut on my foot by walking past an open book. I'm gonna have to ask for details on this one. So there was an open book on the floor. And I was walking past it barefoot. The side of my foot grazed the corner of the book enough for a page up and slice it. Got knocked over by a 5-year-old. Hitting my head on a table and breaking my wrist in the process. I wish I was joking. My mum tripped over a kid at work and fractured 3 ribs. She was like 55 at the time, so it flattened her for weeks. Oh, I have 2. I broke my hand attempting to punch my brother. Threw a weak fist. He blocked with his arm. And I broke the bone on the side of my right hand. I broke my clavicle after riding my bike into my dog in our driveway and flipping over the handlebars. Oh no, that's terrible. Is the dog okay? No, he's dead. But he was fine after the bike crash. This was like 20+ years ago. Lol. He bounced right off and came to me to lick my face because he could tell I was hurt. He was a good boy. In the dark, I ran into a clothesline, fell backwards onto the ground, and had a concussion. Sounds like you got clotheslined. The amount of times I kicked myself in the balls while trying to remove my socks is way too high. That's happened to me never many times. You're doing it wrong. One time I had a thought process that didn't end logically. I was horny, and I thought, vaginas are good because they are warm. Fire is warm. A big fire is too warm. A little fire is little warm. I have a small lighter. I will put that to my penis. I burned my penis. Guys. We need to save this comment for the next time we are trying to explain to someone how we got from point A to point catastrophe. It's just how it works sometimes. Fell on a plastic bucket. It shattered and went through my cheek. On the bright side, I got a cool Joker scar from it. So that's why the Joker always makes up stories about how he got those scars. Hard to maintain a tough supervillain mystique when a plastic bucket nearly kills you. Many years ago, married 24 years now, my husband and I were goofing around play fighting. He's a second-degree black belt. I'm a second-degree dumbass. I lunge forward while flinging my foot and kick him in the bum. Broke my ankle. He was unscathed. We still laugh about it today. Sliced my hand open trying to trim my toenails with tiny scissors on vacation. I always use tiny scissors to trim my nails. I go gentle and slow, and the only thing that hurts after are my teeth for some reason. I keep my mouth closed and stuff. Was dropping a ceiling in an apartment complex for HVAC ductwork. I had safety glasses on that had a mild tint. I couldn't see well with them on for one nail I had to drive. It was new construction, so there was no lights in the building. Took the glasses off, and the second swing of the hammer sent the nail straight into my right eye. What a stupid way to lose an eye. I was headed to the laundry room in my apartment building, and decided to walk down the icy steps in flip-flops. I slipped. Landed all 350 pounds of my then self on the edge of a step just above my left butt cheek. This resulted in a fractured pelvis and nerve damage, both of which still bother me from time to time 16 years later. I'm with you. Except no ice. Fell down a set of concrete stairs at work and broke my pelvis. Wasn't doing anything except walking down the steps in a well-lit space. Supreme humiliation being taken out of the office by paramedics. 4 months of bed rest and also have regular pain years later.